has taken over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
All right, Ferrall back on Coast to Coast, and I'm sure you're going to talk about it later, Carver High, but the Len Dawson thing hits a note with me. I was 7 years old when I met Len Dawson, and my uncle lived in Kansas City, still does, and he played at Missouri, and he was a big shot in Kansas City, and everyone knew him, and he knew Len. And I went to go meet him at Arrowhead when it opened up, and it was brand new back then. And I was wearing plaid pants and a blue blazer, and man, did I have it going. The blonde hair, the whole deal. And I have a picture of me with Len Dawson, signed by Len Dawson. I kept it my entire life. Remember him from the first Super Bowl against the Packers. And, you know, I knew him even in Kansas City when I worked there as an intern at KCTV5 in 1986. And, you know, see him go into hospice, whatever, last week. I knew it was the end. And to see him go is very sad. He is, without a doubt, an institution in Kansas City, Missouri. Let me tell you what. And one of the greats all time, not only as a Hall of Fame quarterback, but a Hall of Fame broadcaster as well. Rest in peace, Len Dawson, one of my heroes as a child.
Yeah, that's what I remember him as, Scotty, because obviously when I was growing up, when I got into my teens, etc., and I was really getting into football, he was mainstay on Inside the NFL. I mean, he was on Inside in the NFL every week, and that's where I, of course, came to know of him. And I have seen that photograph of you with the plaid pants out there in Kansas City. That is a gem. I remember you showed that a couple of years ago, I think, here. That was a tremendous shot of you back in the day. Let's go to more baseball now here, Scotty. Hour 2 of Coast to Coast, and we will now talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, he finally not only talked to his teammates yesterday, Scotty, but a very tearful and remorseful session with the media. We always love that. And we got a couple of clips for you. First, here's Tatis apologizing for the PED suspension.
Would like to start this day, yes, by saying I'm truly sorry. I am really sorry. I have let so many people down.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I have lost so much love from people. But I have failed. I have failed to all of them. I have failed to the front office of the San Diego Padres, Peter Seiler, AJ Preller. I have failed to every fan of this city. I have failed to my country. I have failed my family, parents. I'm really sorry.
Really sorry
for my mistakes.
Yeah, listen, I warned you of this. You know, when it happened, I warned you that they were all going to, and you haven't even heard the beginning of it, because I told you exactly what would happen, is that all of those phony-ass San Diego Padre players turned right around and started knobbing him after he went in and told him how sorry he was. And they all started saying the same tune, that they got to let it ride, let it go, start over, start fresh, grow up. We got your back, your family, we're one together, you know, bullshack. Here's the deal. If I were on that team and I was a player in that locker room, I'd be like, listen, homie, I'm done with you. All right? So take your $340 million and stand on that side of the room. I'm done listening to your lies. This guy is still lying. He's still talking about skin rashes, hairdos, ringworm, and it's always someone else's fault. He used steroids to recover from all of his maladies, his shoulder, his wrist. He just wants to play and hit all those home runs and drive in all those runs because his numbers were so inflated because of the juice. Let's stop with all this nonsense. First of all, welcome all of our radio affiliates, SiriusXM, SportsMap Radio, Sports Byline USA. Good to have you with us. Here's the deal. If this guy, he reminds me of the guy that you catch sleeping with your wife. And he tells you, it was just a huge mistake. It didn't matter. It was nothing. I swear to you, it'll never happen again. You know what? F you, Mother Ferraller. And then I smash your head in with a baseball bat. I'm done listening to people tell me it's the first time I ever did it. It's the first time. I didn't mean to. Oh, officer, I've never smoked weed before. This ounce isn't mine. Here, officer, this bag of meth isn't mine. Here, officer, I'm going to hide the meth under the cop car. Everyone lies through their teeth when they're going down the drain. I am done with this guy. Like the way they treated A-Rod, Clemens, Pettit, Bonds, McGuire, Sosa. Get ready, because that soup is served ice cold. You lose. Take your money and become Robbie Cano. They don't even like you anymore in Cabarete, do they? Big shot. Big shot now. Can't even get a kite surfing expedition down in Cabarete. You're done, bro. And tell your fat brother, mother, and dad to shut their mouth, too. We're done listening to your whole family. F you 6 ways till Sunday. Sideways, F you. Sideways. Boom.
Sports Grid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
They play less games.
The early line.
Take a look at the top 4 seeds here in the Big Ten. They're going to play less.
Rodgers and
the morning
Russell
after.
Wilson. We saw movement in the marketplace like
Orlando
Fantasy
Magic.
sports
The Cleveland
today.
Cavaliers are a little thin as well.
Newswire.
Minus 160 favorite on the money line today for Arizona.
Ferrall coast to
PBG,
coast.
that's where they win cups. They win Stanley Cups over there. Give me the
Game
Penguins.
time
kind of
decisions.
bizarre when you consider everybody is out for the Warriors.
In-game live all access.
I like Vandy against Bama. I think Vandy can win the game, take it 4.5.
In-game live. Prime time.
The PGA champion.
In-game live. Overtime.
Done before the final bet.
Get the winning edge. Only on Sports Grid. The morning after.
Kalia Copper was sensational. 21 points for Chicago. And then in game 2, Copper backed it up with 20 more big ones, going over 18.5 for her points prop tonight in each of the opening 2 games. If Chicago is going to win a decisive game 3 on the road in New York, Copper and her outstanding offensive performance will be a reason why. Over 18.5 points.
The Sports Grid Network. The early line.
This non-story is officially over. Tom Brady went away. Why? Because he can. He's Tom Brady. His wife, very publicly, has wanted him to retire. He did, and then he unretired. So, in a meaningless week of practice, he went out and was able to spend some time with his family. Make sure that everything is good. It was reported to be a work-life balance. It was reported that the Bucs knew it was coming.
Only on Sports Grid.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports with your daily numbers game with some pretty staggering numbers. First week average viewership, NFL preseason, about 1.7 million and 2.15 million on the high side. Now, put in perspective, Major League Baseball, a little higher at 2. The PGA Tour, first playoff round, about a 3. But let's remember, these are no names vying for non-spots on large rosters and in some cases, tape delay. And here's the bottom line. It is a significant number for people to come back and watch a second time and a third time where they know the score. Same thing for tickets. The 1 home or 2 home alternates this year and the last year are bought as part of the season ticket package. People may grumble, but they certainly take advantage of it, and the NFL's juggernaut continues in earnest. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Daily Numbers Game.
All right, Carver High. So what is he saying about how he gets back the trust and love, Tatis?
Here he is, once again, very tearful, very remorseful, saying that he knows he needs to gain back the trust of all of those teammates you were just talking about. Here's Tatis Jr.
I have a lot of work to do. It's going to be a very long process to gain everybody's trust again.
Yeah, forever.
To gain that love back that I have stabbed straight to the heart. To every fan, to every baseball fan. And I'm learning.
Look at Preller.
I'm maturing. I've been dealing with a lot, but still, there has been no excuse for every
Here we
mistake
go with the mental health
that I've
problems. Is that what we're going to hear next? He's got mental health problems? Self-inflicted.
Well, look,
let me tell you something. He is doomed forever.
Yep.
It is never going to get easy for him ever. I will give him this. You know what? I always say money will help you when you have a problem. If you got money, you can get out of anything, or you can do anything. Like, it's simple. Like, he'll have no friends, no family, no teammates. No one's going to like him in the media. Everyone's going to hate him forever. But he's got $340 million coming. And so he can really, buy his own island and go live there and drink out of coconuts. Because believe me, he will never gain back anything. Ask all the guys that they've had their, back turned on every guy I mentioned earlier for the rest of their lives. The only guy that I see having any stones at all about it is, well, I'd say two, A-Rod and Clemens. Clemens goes on TV now. He's the coolest thing going. A-Rod is still a phony. There's no doubt about it. He's a lying piece of shack phony. And but how about this guy? He gets everything he wants. Chicks, TV, he buys teams. He owns everything. He's on baseball. He got his own show with Kay on TV. I mean, this guy gets everything. For a guy that was treated at the time like a mass murderer.
Yep. He certainly was. The perception of A-Rod has changed, of course. Has not changed with the people that are entrusted with putting him into that sacred building.
That'll never
up
happen.
There in Cooperstown, the Hall of Very Good. Tatis Jr. also said that he will have surgery on his shoulder during the PED suspension.
Who cares?
Scotty, just so you know, that's the surgery that he probably was supposed to have like a year and a half ago that he didn't want to do. So he's finally going to get that done while he's got some time off.
I got to tell you, I'm not just going to be honest right now. So when I got my rotator cuff surgery, and it is the most brutal surgery ever. It's a 9-month thing. I mean, I ate like 16 million pills. I just wanted to say.
Get it in you. There you go. Let's get to some of last night's action before we get to tonight's games. Let's start in the Bronx. You were talking about it with JJ before. Yankees beat the Mets 4-2, Scotty. Look who it is again, number 48 for Aaron Judge. It's a little Sterling today instead of K on WFAN in New York.
All right.
We're making 30. Pitch. Hit in the air to deep left. It is high. It is far. There it is. Gone. Oh, what a Judgian blast. It went over the grandstand and way up in the bleachers. All rise. Here comes the Judge. Boy, I mean, he hit one out of sight in left field, and the Yankees take a 1-0 lead.
I mean, A, he turned on that puppy, and B, I just saw money. You know, a lot of people see the ball flying out. I see Carver High and I counting Benjamins. I mean, it was just like, just money, like a trail of money going out there.
Certainly is. Every time that the Judge hits another one, so 48 for him now. He is now on pace, Scotty, according to the charts and graphs. He is on pace to possibly break Roger Maris's American League record of 61 homers, and of course the Yankees as well. Judge, though, not worried about being mentioned with a lot of the Yankee greats like Mantle, Maris, etc. Here he is, Scotty.
What do you think when your name is thrown in there with Mantle, Maris, Bonds, and some of the great players that played the game?
Bonds, he said.
You still don't believe it. It's pretty wild to think about, especially the things that they accomplished over their career and, what things they did for this game of baseball, the records they set, but I try not to look at it, because we're still a long way away from, even being in that class. So I just try to keep my head down, focus on what I can do here with the Yankees, and that's about it.
So listen, just a thought, because he is too far away yet to start giving him awards. But Bonds, as far as Barry Bonds goes, he can't go anywhere outside of San Francisco and not be harassed. I mean, he gets no love anywhere, but in San Francisco, they treat him like the mayor. I mean, the guy's waving at games, standing up, getting standing ovations. He's the nicest guy in the world when he's in San Francisco. And the rest of the places he goes, he's still the same P he always was. He and his dad were the two greatest asshat jerks in the history of Major League Baseball. And I dealt with him every day for years on end, from Pittsburgh to San Francisco. He hated my guts, and I was so much better at giving it back to him than he was at dishing it out. I mean, I lit this guy up so many times with my foul mouth. I'm like the devil. And when I cut through you, there's no turning back. And I can't stand, this act he's got, like he hit all these home runs. Everybody knows that those numbers are all phony. That's just all phony. Now, I've never seen anybody hit a ball better. I've never seen a guy with faster hands. I've never seen anyone more impressive hitting home runs and fastball. But I was impressed with that when he was a 40-40 guy in Pittsburgh. I'm not interested in anything he did in San Francisco because it was all cheating his onions off. And everybody knows it. And you talk about these American League records. All the records still stand. All the records of him and McGuire, Sosa are all absolute failure BS. They don't count. And that's why they'll never let any of them into the Hall of Fame. And they're never letting in that moron Pete Rose either. Here's a guy still joking around about rape and everything else. No wonder they leave him out. He's such an idiot. And you can quote me on that. The guy shows up in Philly and sticks both of his shoes in his mouth. That stupid ass Rose. He might as well just head to the casket. And you can quote me on that, too. The world doesn't need him around anymore talking about Hall of Fame and baseball. Thank you very much, ma'am. And Carver High, you know I'm right.
I've told you since the day that I met you that they're not putting him in the Hall of Fame until the day after he passes away. That'll be the day that Pete Rose gets in the Hall of Fame, the day after he dies. For Judge, 48 now. He's only got 6 in the month of August, Scotty. So he's tailed off a little bit. He's had double digits in every month before this one. Now, he's still got time to get to double digits in August with, about, 7 days left, about a week left to go here in the month. But he's still got to get on a pretty good clip to get into that 61 range. He's still got to do a lot of work. I don't think it's a given he's going to get to whatever that chart you grab.
Basically double what Pujols has to do in 40 games.
And later on Coast to Coast, you asked last week for a number for Pujols to hit 700. I've got one for you later on Coast to Coast. A betting number for over-under 699.5 for Albert Pujols to get to that 700th homer.
Oh.
Pretty good price, too. We'll see if you want to dabble with it later on. All right, after you talk to Mike DeCourcy, we will get into the rest of the games from last night. We've got football, too, in the last hour of Coast to Coast. A lot more to do later on.
Wow, I can't wait for that. I'm ready to bet on that, frankly, Pujols. And then I'd be interested in the bet on Judge as well, making it to 62.
racing. The clock's running out. It all comes down to this. We're talking pregame. Pregame. Get locked in with Game Time Decisions. Your hosts, Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart, will get you ready for game time. Everything you need to know before a game goes off the board, with the bet slips to back it up. Make your best bet with live odds updates, late breaking news, up-to-the-minute injury reports, and real-time analytics from inside the sportsbooks. All the odds, all the action, from sports wagering insiders and industry pros like Donnie Rightside, Cam Lou, Cousin Sal, the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, and more. Get the winning edge every weekday afternoon from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 4 Pacific. It's Game Time Decisions. Only on Sports Grid.
You might be the next daily fantasy millionaire. No matter what you watch or where you play, learn from the world's best DFS players. Lineup building tools, expert projections, and advanced stats change the way you play the game. Dominate the competition. DailyRoto.com, the player's choice.
The morning after.
What was your reaction to the Yankees taking Game 1 of the Subway Series last night, even up against Max Scherzer?
You know, let's work backwards. Started with Jonathan Loaizaga. They need to kind of piece together the closer situation. That was the thing that struck me. Of course, we can talk about Aaron Judge and, homer number 47 and all that cool stuff, but I want to talk about the setup guy that was having a down year that might turn into the closer down the stretch, because that's what, baseball is, right? It's all about the boring stuff.
The Sports Grid Network. Fantasy Sports Today.
Michael Pittman did put together somewhat of an impressive season. He ended up being wide receiver 13 in fantasy. I guess what owners are hoping for based on his positional rank going into this year is that he just is a little bit more consistent, and honestly where he's being drafted, giving you about 15 to 20% more numbers, about 1,200 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns.
The Sports Grid Network. The early line.
They sent out a Jordan Montgomery, who evidently is the best pitcher in baseball. I know it's the Cubs. I don't care. A complete game one-hitter.
And how about this, too? On the road in Chicago at Wrigley against one of your hated rivals here. Now, we know the Chicago Cubs aren't having a great season by any stretch of 52 and 69, but isn't these are the type of wins that you need?
Only on Sports Grid.
Always a great idea weekly to hook up with the legendary scribe, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. Mike, I got to start with, and I want to get into your column on Deshaun Watson and break it down a little bit, but I want to start with Len Dawson. I was talking about him earlier on the show, and I told the story of meeting him when I was 7 years old at Arrowhead Stadium. My father and my uncle, who played at Missouri, was friends with Len, and I got to meet him as a little boy, and I've shown my staff photos of that encounter. I have an autograph from Len Dawson that I kept with me my entire life. There's very few things in sports that I, care about in terms of memorabilia. I'm not a big saver of things. You'd be surprised. I kept every issue of Sports Illustrated that I ever got. And that turned into a house full of magazines. And then I kept my picture of Len Dawson, and I certainly have kept everything about the Steelers' 6 Super Bowls. But Len was not only a legend as a quarterback getting into the Hall of Fame, and he grew up near Canton, but he got in as a broadcaster as well. And, only 3 men have ever got in that way. What are your thoughts on the passing of Len Dawson? When he went into hospice, I knew it was over, and I just felt horrible today to hear the news, or yesterday, whatever it was. It's just all crazy to wake up to that. For me, just the memories flooding back and meeting him as a child.
Yeah, honestly, Len Dawson was probably the quarterback of the first Super Bowl that I ever really got. The others, I was too young to really understand and to follow it. And of course, in my childhood, not necessarily my youth, but my childhood, until I got to be basically a teenager, the Steelers were so poor that pro football wasn't that necessarily a big a deal as baseball and the Pirates. And I think that was probably true of a lot of people of my era, that baseball was the first love. So when football started to become a thing when I got a little bit older, that's Vikings Chiefs Super Bowl was really my introduction to the game. Not necessarily to the game, but to the Super Bowl. And that season was my introduction to the game. And I kind of was a Vikings fan. So I was heartbroken by what he and Otis Taylor and others did to the Vikings that season. They did a magnificent job. And obviously we've all seen the film of Hank Stram. It's like stealing, all of that. And Len Dawson was at the core of that. It doesn't become a Super Bowl title without his great play at quarterback. He was a magnificent player, and then went on to be a Chiefs announcer and ambassador of the sport for much of the rest of his life, and got to live to 87 years old. Hall of Famer, legend, 87. He had a heck of a run. You got to give him that.
Yeah, I have to tell you, because you and I have that Pittsburgh ilk, and for me, meeting the Chief was also a stunning experience for me as a kid growing up in Pittsburgh. That I got to meet that man, and then that I got to cover and sit with every single Monday, Chuck Knoll, and travel with the Pittsburgh Steelers on their team plane and cover them. And I was too young to have those rights, and everyone knew it. And I was a smart ass, and I was not allowed to open my mouth. And I got to tell you, at his press conferences, I also wasn't allowed to open my mouth. And then I sat next to Myron Cope, and that was like sitting next to Jesus.
Yeah, I still remember. Those who aren't from Pittsburgh don't know Myron necessarily, but you could probably find some stuff on YouTube that would help introduce you to him. But he was a great writer who transitioned into full-time broadcasting and brought an incredible layer of intelligence, and as well as an outsized character with lots of sayings, catchphrases, that sort of thing. A little bit like Dick Vitale, but local, specific to the Steelers and to Pittsburgh. And obviously there, as with Dick, there's an innate intelligence and understanding of the sport that fuels all of what, all of the fun characterizations and all those sorts of things that they do. So yeah, I still remember the first time I got to be on Myron's show. What a moment that was for me as a young journalist. So I know exactly what you're talking about. We all have those. I got to sit with the Chief and interview him once, just me and him for a half an hour or so when I was working for the Pittsburgh Press. That's one of the privileges that, Scott, that we get being in this business that they can never take away. You get to spend time with people that are extraordinary what they do. And sometimes, as with Lenny or as with the Chief, extraordinary people as well.
Well, you were when you were with the press, and Myron's history of being a writer and what he accomplished as a writer, did that motivate you as a young man to be like him and to follow in that type of trajectory and footstep in your life? And because I remember you there, and do you miss the Pittsburgh Press? And then it turned into a one-paper town, the Post-Gazette. I read it every day of my life. Do you miss those days at all? Or I know you got gigantic in life, but that had to be pretty special for you as a kid from Pittsburgh. It all meant so much to me. Like, even when I went back to call a Penguin Thrasher game and they welcomed me back to the igloo on the scoreboard, that one of their favorite sons was home calling the game for the crappy Thrashers. That gave me quite a lift.
Yeah, it's interesting. The truth is that when I got my job at the Pittsburgh Press, it took me a long time to work my way into that situation after after being out of work for a little while. But I started part-time at the press and kind of worked my way in. And so when I got that job, I got a call from Sports Illustrated to try out. I got an opportunity to be a PR person for a football team. And I turned it all down. I was where I thought I'd be for the rest of my career. And then when it was put out of business, I had to go elsewhere to stay in this business. And to be honest, Scott, and this is probably your experience as well, in a lot of ways, I had to get out of Pittsburgh to have the great career that I've had. I would never have had the opportunity to work for the Sporting News or Big Ten Network or Fox Sports, any of those, if I'd stayed in Pittsburgh. It just wasn't enough of a basketball place for me to get those doors to open. But when I went to Memphis, which is maybe the best pure basketball city in America in terms of its consumption with the game, it was a perfect opportunity for me that opened all the doors that followed.
Are you surprised at the staying power of the Sporting News through the trash compactor media business that's thrown everything into the incinerator known to man? The National, Sports Illustrated's nothing compared to what it used to be. Now it's like 20 pages and boring compared to what it used to be. And they've turned to the internet and online stuff. It used to be the greatest magazine for sports fans in the world. Are you surprised at how the Sporting News has, evolved and stood the test of time?
Well, it's hard to kill 137 years of history, for one. I think that history that goes back into the 19th century is a big part of why we're still here. I mean, I remember when Sports Illustrated celebrated their 50th anniversary, and it was like, to those of us who were at the Sporting News, it's like, get to us another 50 years, No, this guy is great. Don't get me wrong. They've had incredible writers now, and they had him then. But, in terms of history, it's hard to beat the Sporting News. We have not had a magazine in a decade. We have been strictly online. But, there's a lot to be said when you're going through Twitter and you see something interesting and you click on it and you can't read it. And I understand why the various publications do that, but we're completely free. If I do something interesting, or if Bill Bender, our college football writer, does something interesting, or Vinny Iyer in NFL, if any of those things catches your interest, you can click on it and you can read it. You don't have to worry about whether or not we're going to charge you. And I think that has been a big driver of our continued success.
That's great. Congrats to everybody at the Sporting News. So how do you think Deshaun Watson's going to handle the 11 weeks with his $44 million that he can play around with and watch TV at home? Think he'll be all right?
I think he'll be fine financially. They're taking 5 away. But, one of the things that I wrote about in the column that I did, it's easy to say, oh, this isn't enough. And in a lot of ways, of course, as I said in a tweet, what could ever be enough for what happened? But I think that it was important to structure the suspension in the way that it was, because I thought that the Browns deserved some degree of punishment for the way they handled his acquisition. Not just giving away 5 draft picks, including 3 first-rounders, or even the signing him to a $230 million contract, but structuring it so that if he were heavily suspended this year, it would take the least financial blow for him this year. I found that to be bothersome, and maybe bothersome is not even the exact right word. And then I think that by doing this, it kind of forces them to deal with all the salary cap implications of paying him $43 million in years 2 through 5 of the contract. If he had been suspended for the whole year the way the NFL wanted, that would have pushed the $600,000 a year into next year. That would have been too easy on the Browns.
Yeah, I got to tell you, at the end of the day, as a Steeler fan, I just hope they lose every game they play. All right, Mike, I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Scott.
You might be the next daily fantasy millionaire. No matter what you watch or where you play, learn from the world's best DFS players. Lineup building tools, expert projections, and advanced stats change the way you play the game. Dominate the competition. DailyRoto.com, the player's choice.
The morning after.
Who wins the American League Central?
I recently had a change of heart here, and it's the Cleveland Guardians. I think that the Guardians are going to win the American League Central. I think that what they do in terms of offensive depth, I know we talked about that with Houston a couple weeks ago. I think that Cleveland runs out an incredibly deep lineup. I also think that they run out a very solid front three in that rotation with Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, and Cal Quantrill.
The Sports Grid Network. Fantasy Sports Today.
Now at tight end, Mo Alley Cox Davis is one of those. I feel like over the course of 17 games, I'm going to be doing a show with you, or I'm going to watch a show somewhere else, and someone's going to tell him this is the week at DFS to play Mo Alley Cox.
I think the thorn in his side, though, is going to be the tight end that they drafted in the third round this year to kind of take up some of those Jack Doyle snaps, who is Jelani Woods.
The Sports Grid Network. The early line.
The team that's got a lot of people excited, Nebraska. The second best odds to win the Big Ten West. Donnie, last year this team won 3 football games. Only 1 win in Big Ten play.
But if you're looking like a team total guy like myself, even a win total guy, you're going to be looking at Nebraska saying something has to change, and maybe the quarterback change is what they needed.
Only on Sports Grid. Ferrall, Coast to Coast.
Do you believe he has the stones to fire both of them? His dad would have.
I don't. I think Boone is safe no matter what happens. Maybe if they don't win the East, but that's almost impossible. So I think he's safe. Cashman's contract, I believe, is up after this year. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I would think he'd be in a lot more trouble than Boone would.
The Sports Grid Network.
So, everybody's been talking about this kid in the Bronx with the hot dog straw, but did you notice that on the hot dog, it actually said at Sports Grid and at Sports Grid TV, like on the underside of it, like as he was trying to wedge it in the beer? I think the ink came off when he put it in the beer and you saw the beer get kind of cloudy. That was from the ink of the, the logos that we had on the hot dog Rebecca, to get on that kid's hot dog in that moment, on TV in that Subway Series, that is just, it may have broken all of her previous dues. She's done it all, and then she went and did it again. It's just unbelievable.
Well, at least something good came out of that entire hot dog fiasco. So something good did come out of it, and it was that, getting the logo.
I'm sick of hearing about it.
I was sick of hearing about it. Probably doesn't even begin to describe that situation. Just let the poor guy wants to drink the beer with the hot dog. Bad enough he's using the straw with the beer. That's even worse right there, what he's got going on. All right, here we go.
Or getting a hot dog at that shack hole, like in that dirty water. I don't do the street hot dogs and the Yankee Stadium wet bucket hot dog. Is there anything worse? I'm not doing it. Like in Chicago, just so you know, they got like real Vienna beef hot dogs going with like onions and mustard, the whole deal, relish, pickles. It's like hot peppers and everything. Out at Yankee Stadium, they'll give you a wet, soaking Rhea dog.
Yeah,
it's what I like to
tough.
refer to as an ass missile.
Yes, there you go. One more thing from that game. This was before the game last night. Now, many feel Buck Showalter an old school type of baseball guy, right, Scotty? He's old school, Buck. Been around the game a long time. Even Buck can't wait to throw out the umpires and put the machines in. Here he is.
I can't wait till they get the automatic strike zone in a lot of ways so we can get away from all this stuff. I think it really irritates people, all the framing. You know, the top 10 umpires, I look at them that for accuracy. One thing they have in common, they're not affected by any framing at all. It doesn't matter how you present the pitch. They're calling a ball, and a strike. And I think that's where we're headed.
I think the umps are awful. I mean, honestly, it gets just worse by the day. It's beyond me watching, especially when they try to shove that, big square in front of our eyes on every pitch now. So we know that it's, the robo future's already here. You can watch where the pitch lands on every pitch now in a baseball game. And how many times are they missing it, like completely by a foot or more, and they're still calling strikes? I mean, it is so bad. And then you watch these managers over there having conniptions on the dugout steps for good cause. And then if they even question these guys, they get tossed. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I saw Drury for the Padres get thrown out last night. I'm not going to say he didn't just look at the ump. He clearly turned around and said something to him, but he got the gate very early in that game last night against Cleveland for arguing balls and strikes. All right, let's fly through some of these from yesterday. The Orioles beat the White Sox 5-3 last night. Ryan Mountcastle, who we're on tonight. Yeah, we weren't on him yesterday. He's going to go back-to-back in a belly-to-belly on Mass in a 3-run shot last night.
3-1. Got a slider, belted it. Deep center field. Robert away back there, and it's gone. Oh, what a start. Ryan Mountcastle takes down one of the best pitchers in baseball on a 3-1 slider.
Wow, I mean, that guy's lit, and that team just continues to rake. It blows my mind what they've done.
Next, the Phillies beat the Reds 7-6 last night. They got down in this game. It was scoreless for a while. They come back, take the lead, give it up again, and then in the bottom of the ninth, Scotty, Nick Maton, the walk-off on NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Back at it again with the count 2-2. Winning run at third. Maton rips it. That's a fair ball. Phils are going to win the game. A line drive base hit for Maton into right. It scores Bryson Stott, and the Phils are celebrating. They win it 7-6 here in the bottom of the ninth inning. And that celebration may go all the way to South Philly.
I mean, ever since they fired Joe Girardi, right?
That's what I was going to say about Rob Thompson. He, of course, took over for Girardi. They have been excellent since he came in. Loved the fight of his Phillies last night. We'll pass on Rob, Scotty, and we will wait until he brings Bryce Harper up. That'll be the next time that we hear from Rob. Bryce Harper did hit 2 home runs in his first rehab start, as we mentioned earlier in the show. He's eligible to be come off the list on Friday. They had been saying September 1st. I don't see any reason to wait. I guess they're playing so well, you can be cautious. You don't have to rush him back. But I would say 2 homers last night, Scotty. Bryce looks pretty good, and he's ready to go at the dish, that's for sure. Cards and the Cubbies split a doubleheader at Wrigley yesterday. Cubs won the afternoon game 2-0, Scotty. The Cardinals bashed them at night, 13-3. Nolan Arenado got it going on Bally Sports Midwest.
Nolan Arenado. Arenado drives one out to deep left. At the wall, 1-0. And a long home run, Nolan Arenado, number 26.
At least they got the split and won that nightcap.
And they will play again tonight in Chicago. All right, Albert Pujols, Scotty, is 7 home runs away from 700. He has been on an unbelievable streak the last few weeks. You were asking, can we get a number for him to hit 700? The answer is Yes, of course we can get a number. Here it is. Over and under 699.5. 10 of his 14 homers this year have come since the start of July. Now, on our screen, Sky, this is how much people are playing this. On our screen, you see there at plus 900 to get to 700. Already down to plus 725 in the last few hours. So plus 725 for him to get to 700 home runs. That's a fat price. Fat price.
Yeah, I was going to pounce on the 9, and then at 7.25, I'm just going to do it right now.
There you go. Get involved. Plus 725. Oh, and I did find the number for Judge as well for the 61.5. That is
right.
plus 200. Plus 200 right now for him to get to 62. Plus 200 for Aaron Judge.
That's double. That's double, basically, as I said earlier, what Pujols has to do.
Yep, it certainly is. Also, the Rays beat the Angels 11-1 last night, Scotty. Once again, the Angels are just awful. Isaac Paredes going yard on Bally Sports, Florida.
1-0 the count to Isaac Paredes. And there's a shot deep down the left side, and that baby is gone. Home run for Isaac Paredes, and the Rays again lead by 2. It's 3-1.
Well, there you go. They're going to have a parade for him, Paredes.
You did see that one run for the Angels, Scotty. Of course, it was a Trout homer. Was his 1,500th hit in Major League Baseball. So they get squashed every night, but Trout and Ohtani, they always eat that.
With his back, will he get to 3,000 in his career? No way.
Man, you got to think of it this way. He's just at 1,500, and think about how good he's been. And he's only, and I'm not going to say only, but he's only halfway there. And his best years, and he's breaking down, and arguably all his best years are behind him already. Now, look, I mean, he's not retiring tomorrow, obviously, but I mean, geez, he's got another 1,500.
He should go get some ringworm and a rash and a hairdo.
He's 31. He's 31 years old, Scotty, and like you said,
I don't
think he gets it. I don't think he gets to 3,000.
But
I don't see him play until he's.
They all say surefire Hall of Famer every time he comes to the plate. A surefire Hall of Famer. Everybody's a Hall of Famer. Tatis a Hall of Famer. They put him in his first year in the league. He played 5 games, and they put him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it really is a joke now. Everyone needs to shut their mouth until a guy has played, a dozen years and put up huge numbers and has not failed a drug test.
Can we write the whole book on these guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. There's some guys who they're not done with their careers, and you just know. All right, they're going to be all over. So can we write the whole book before we say
But they do it now in football and baseball and basketball. Every time a guy's playing in a game, they're like, oh, he's surefire Hall of Famer.
Surefire. But that's because it's not the Hall of Fame anymore either. It's the Hall of Very Good. The Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 9-3 at Fenway last night. How about George Springer clearing the bases on Sportsnet in Toronto?
7 career grand slams for Springer. Down the right field line, Ref Snyder coming over, dives, and it's by him. 3 runs are in. Springer is on his way to third and will be held there on a bases loaded triple, and it is 8-1.
I think he's a great player. Another guy that gets injured a lot.
Another guy who gets injured all the time. The Astros beat the Twins last night 4-2. We already told you that Verlander pitched great, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. They did get him out of there while he had, I believe he was a no-hitter, a perfect game going. But they are saving him, Scotty. Verlander even said it afterwards. I want to be strong for October. I don't care that he took me out with a no-hitter. I'm not worried about wasting pitches at the end of August. So Justin knows what's up. Carlos Correa returned to Houston last night, says he sees himself playing for the Twins for a long time. He's lying when he says that, Scotty, just so you know. Alex Bregman staying hot for the Astros, going big fly on AT&T Sportsnet Southwest.
Here's Alex Bregman. Bregman sends one high, sends one deep, towards the wall and left. That ball's gone! A Breggy bomb, his 19th of the year, and the Astros double up the score. It's now 4-0.
They should check this guy for a rash, too. He hit so many home runs. Honestly, I can't keep track of this little guy hitting all these home runs. It makes me sick. I hate them.
I'm not going to lie to you. Bregman was a little train ride home add to the tater list for me yesterday. I know we didn't talk about the show. We had Bregman last week. Little on the train ride home tater ad for me. So that was a good score with Bregman last night. Dodgers beat the Brewers 10-1 out in Los Angeles. Trace Thompson, Scotty. His brother hits threes for the Warriors. He hits 3-run bombs for the Dodgers on Sportsnet LA.
Wow.
Here it comes. Thompson pushes the ball way back and gone.
Their family is just so much more athletic than yours.
That's crazy, man. I mean, Trace Thompson and Clay Thompson getting
sons.
it done. And yeah, the Diamondbacks, by the way, beat the Royals 7-3, and nobody cared unless you had the Diamondbacks last night. So good job on that one. We will come back with This Day in Sports. At the top of the hour, we'll do tonight's games. I'll give you the standings tomorrow.
If you want to pick like a pro, you need to be in the know. The future of sports gaming is now, and we take you inside the lines, breaking down all the action and what it means for your bet slip. Turn down the game and tune into Sports Grid Radio. Other networks talk sports talk, but we walk the walk, right up to the window. Sports Grid Radio.
Listen free on the Sports Grid Radio app, iHeart, or TuneIn, or catch us on Sirius XM Sports Grid Channel 159.
Maurice Allen, 2015-2016 European Long Drive Tour Champion, 2017 World Number 1. Me personally, I keep my game face on me all the time. Especially coming out of the bunker, leaving the range, or even leaving the course. What's your story?
The morning after.
Why are you buying in on Dylan's stock for 2022?
Aaron Jones has been remarkably consistent for the Packers, and I kind of see him playing almost Alvin Kamara role in the slot, sitting about wide. And I think they're going to try and save him from taking this, ground and pound, and they're going to leave that role to A.J. Dillon to have this kind of more of a balanced approach because they need a little more consistency in their passing game. I think it helps that the Packers' offensive line is right now ranked 5th.
The Sports Grid Network. The Early Line.
Football is always so much fun because you see new players literally every single year, and the anticipation is stupendous once it gets underway. And we're really close to that. A 12:30 game overseas this weekend between Northwestern and Nebraska. And yeah, you're going to settle into Connecticut playing Utah State with a 27.5-point line. Everybody gets in the way. Big Ten, Pac-12. We cannot wait for this.
Only on Sports Grid. Fantasy Sports Today.
The running back that appears to make the biggest jump maybe in the last 2 months, maybe in all of fantasy, honestly, Davis, is Dameon Pierce, who played for the University of Florida. And the beef that went on at Florida, Davis, is that people wanted to see him get the ball more. He really was never a primary running back at Florida. He's sort of a throwback guy in the sense that you give him the ball, he's never going to lose yards.
The Sports Grid Network. Ferrall, coast to coast.
This is yet, I'm told, at least the fourth different offense that Mayfield has to learn as a professional in his 5 years. And from the very start, Ferrall, they kind of knew it. I'm told after 2 weeks, he was so dominant over Darnold. It wasn't bad, but the fact of the matter is his timing was good. I'm told a couple of the throws are a little bit high. They feel that the timing will be better as these guys work together.
The Sports Grid Network.
It's time for everybody's favorite. It's time for Carver High's History of Sports. He's going to roll it out for us.
Here we go. 1945, Cleveland ace Bob Feller returns from the Navy and strikes out 12. Get him on the boat, put him on the mound, and look at him deal. 1962, Los Angeles Dodger coach Leo DeRocha suffers a near-fatal allergic reaction to penicillin injection while in the clubhouse at the Polo Grounds. Are you kidding me? 1971, let's play two, Scotty. Ernie Banks, his 512th and final home run of his career, and we have it. Let's go.
This is the second of a three-game series between the Reds and the Cubs. Cubs won
Jack Brickhouse.
6-3. Here's a good shot off the bat of Ernie Banks, deep to left field.
Hey. There goes another one over
There
the
you
fence.
go. Another one, also 72. Gordie Howe and John Bellevue inducted into the Hockey Hall of Very Good. 1976, Mariners is selected from 15,000 contest entries as the nickname of Seattle's MLB franchise. 1988, North Stars forward Dino Ciccarelli sentenced to 1 day in jail and fined a G for hitting another player with his stick. What? 1989, Pete Rose is suspended from baseball for life for gambling, still paying for it today. 99, Ken Griffey Jr. becomes only the 7th player to hit 40 bombs in 4 consecutive years. 2004, my girl, Scotty, Kerry Walsh and Misty May win the women's beach volleyball gold medal in Athens. There you go. 2006, Jerry Rice finally retired from the NFL, signed a one-day contract with the 49ers. 2007, the NFL suspended Michael Vick just hours after he acknowledged that he bankrolled gambling on dog fighting. There you go. 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. Everybody watched. 2018 French Open, Serena. Black Nike catsuit from the future. Ban the black catsuit. Respect for the game. Are you kidding me? Enough!